one.
Yep.
Thought it was you, but that was a quick ticket if so.
He's telling.
Yeah, well.
In the car, you can't
Yeah,
tell.
you can't tell.
Although for some reason.
Live.
Larry too, or Larry, but.
We're live?
Yep.
Okay. I'll call the meeting to order. Is there any public comment? Anybody out there?
Nope.
All right, we'll start with finance. Minutes. Approval of the finance minutes.
Next motion. Second then.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. All right. 2023 audit pricing options.
I gave you some info.
Mhm.
I didn't do like a formal bid or anything, but I just put some feelers out there and I checked 2 other companies.
Mhm.
And I guess you can,
I'm familiar with the
yeah, that's
Okay.
Randy Meter and they used to own the subway.
right.
And he does the audit for the fire department and Victor Township.
And I feel like if that, I know there was some talk about, would they be, I mean, you have, how far ahead you,
I checked with all of them to see if they could do this year before I
Okay.
got a price from them.
okay,
Otherwise it wouldn't have made a lot of
no,
sense.
Yeah.
right,
So he said he could fit us in, so. So did Manor, I'm sure they don't want to by the price of theirs.
they're always pricey, right now.
And then, Gaybridge, I reached out to them for a 3-year price like Randy gave me and they haven't gotten back to me with it, so.
So do we have to bid this out since it's a service, or we're not required? to?
We are not required to. And we kind of did, I mean, I did call 3 of them and.
Right.
and I told them all to go look at our audit on the state website and, they did, and. That's where the prices came from, other than the one that's doing us, which, I mean, so. I mean, our options to me are, I mean, we could completely bid it out, but wouldn't be for this year. I mean, that doesn't make any sense at this point.
Can you remind me what the new people were gonna charge us this upcoming year? It went from,
16,625 is their price this year,
oh, okay. And it had went up,
but that
Wow.
is more than double. Or pretty close to double.
Even the BMD here is. Still almost twice. The double the cost seems to be the new trend, I guess.
Right, but if we book him for a 3-year, it's only
Yeah.
11,000,
Sure. That's.
so big commit to them.
so.
Well, I have to say that I feel like they have a good reputation from from my standpoint. I don't know, I mean, you're in the RJ's in the
Mhm.
accounting world, but I mean, obviously. I think that we should probably consider going with them.
I mean, if you want to do 1 year with either company and then bid it out, you could, but I mean, I don't think anybody's probably gonna get cheaper than that.
I mean, I like the fact that they showed, every year it's gonna be a $750 increase, which is inflation.
Right.
Like that's gonna be normal.
Yeah.
That might be less than normal, to be completely honest.
And I understand why the first year costs more because they have to do a lot more the first year to get acquainted with it. But if we give them a 3-year type thing, that's why they came up with that. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, I like those prices.
Yeah. I mean, I would make a recommendation that we go with the and Associates
For the 3-year,
for the 3 years.
I would second that.
Do we have any more discussion, I guess? What do you think? Paul?
Absolutely.
I think that's the best. I mean, especially because It's not like we don't know who to sue either.
No, and
You know, we're
he's
just not
local,
going to,
and I
like-
mean, I just really feel like, I mean, there's no doubt in my
Okay.
mind, we can work with him, there's not any issues in that, And if somebody else came in, we would, I mean, Cambridge could send a new auditor this year that we don't know.
Right.
But Randy pretty much does most, he comes in, he meets you, gets the stuff. I deal with him in 2 other locations.
So. All in favor, I guess. I mean,
Yeah, I have no issues with it, so.
so should we make a recommendation to the city council?
But yep, so I figured that's what your motion was, is you're gonna recommend city
Yeah.
council. Accept the price from. DMD for the 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it just makes financial sense.
Yeah,
Totally.
and also I think we get really good service, so. All right. Okay. So did everybody look over? This is called. Looking right.
The project.
Prioritizing the projects. I guess I had a question about. Obviously, the 120 railroad is. Top priority.
But they're not in any priority order.
Okay, but I'm just saying, I feel like
Yeah.
that one is really. Do we have any, I guess, numbers from the. Parking lot yet, as far as that
I
project?
feel like they came to planning commission and gave us some kind of numbers, but
Oh, there was numbers.
but we haven't, actually, like, we haven't really seen anything.
Okay, I didn't know there was numbers at the. I know they talked about it, but.
I feel like
For the parking lot of what?
the 300 Grand River parking lot, when the school, they came to planning commission rating.
Yeah,
Yeah, this. school did.
yes.
Oh, that's right. You were there, weren't you?
No, I was.
Oh, you were, okay. Was there numbers that they talked
I
about?
was pretty sure, I mean, they didn't have anything.
I'm trying to remember. I
writing.
feel like it was
They were,
no more, they thought it would be no more than 300 or
Yep.
330,000.
I think they thought it
Somewhere in that.
so they are looking for, a commitment from us. But, I think my recommendation would be is that this council decides what their commitment would be, since we don't know what the total project is. Are we gonna commit to half? Or are we gonna say we have 150,000? And if half exceeds that, I don't know how you guys wanna do it,
That's what
but
we're looking for. It's like a commitment for half up to X amount of dollars.
Mhm.
And I think that's about 9%. So if it is 300,000, like would we be comfortable at 150,000? And then should it end up being 400,000, we would all agree that we'd have to come back
And talk about
and
it.
talk about it more as to whether or not we would consider doing more.
And how much do we have in that one account that we like to do?
so our ARPA funds, we have about 300,000, sorry, 300,000, I wish, 138,000. And then I think, I can't remember if we put something aside for that parking lot. I don't think we did, because I don't know that we were anticipating, how this was gonna come out. So,
So who came and talked?
Maggie Sales
Okay.
and, the guy from their,
Your architect?
Yeah.
So when I
But I
looked over it, when I was kind of looking at it a little bit. The time frame that they're thinking now is fall, like is what it sounded like.
right,
Okay,
and I was able to get estimate from our engineers.
Okay.
and It's about 350.
okay. All right.
Was it that meeting where they hadn't accounted for the cost of running the electrical? and things
Yeah,
like
they didn't, they said this was just for paving. That didn't include the running an electrical for a sign and the fence.
that?
and
That
we-
that would be done afterwards, right? Well, we kind of have to do with the electrical up front before you put pavement down. So. We had some concerns, I guess, but it sounded like they were gonna move forward with it.
Do you think the fence is gonna come into play at the end as far as who's financing it?
I think that, the planning commission was very clear that events needed to be included in the project. And I don't know why school wouldn't want to help pay for the fence.
We all agree that it would need to be a white vinyl fence, like.
Like
Oh,
our,
I agree. I
yeah,
just,
I mean, that was kind of what we came up with, and we told their engineer that we wanted electrical and a fence. I mean, how do you bid it out with both of those out having, you gotta have it in there,
Right.
so.
so we're kind of hoping that we get some kind of recommendation on this, do you think, in this meeting too?
I guess, I mean, in this meeting,
This-
yeah, I
this-
think that's, I mean, that's not, I mean, that is number 4.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you were still.
Oh, I'm sorry, did I go?
No.
I-
Number 4 is the funding for the
Okay,
parking
okay,
lot, which
okay.
is, you know, I mean, I guess. I
Yeah, let's go back to grade, you're right.
So we were just kind of looking at what projects that we actually have going on and, you know. I guess in our office, like, we're starting to see a lot more funding coming down, and I mentioned that we're gonna probably, because the ARP funds have to be committed. So the state has a lot of ARP funds that have to be committed by December of 2024. And so they're starting grant processes and projects that they're sending down, and we, you know, we saw that with the Sparks grant, and now we have a community. Like community center grant, we have that, and it's like, there's really, I think you're just gonna see more of it, and. We're looking for what projects you guys want, I mean, kind of like prioritizing them, and. Because otherwise, it's really hard when these things come out and they have 60-day window.
Mhm.
By the time we meet. And you guys tell us what you wanna do, it's almost time to turn in the grant. Even if we meet once a month, depends on when it falls, it doesn't always work out, so we're kind of looking to be able to start. Preparing some projects for funding that might come down the pipe, because we don't always know.
Right, because when they come by in Pike, it might be specifically aiming towards one of these things that fit that bill and.
Right,
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not asking us to create a project, I'm asking us to look at the projects that we've been talking about, and, you know, if something else great comes up, then that's what we do, but I think we need to look at the projects that we've been talking about and figure out. You know, how we want to fund them. And if they're a priority or not, and if something like, I mean, this community center grant, for instance, you know. I mean, I think it would fund that project at 300 Grand River. I think it would do with Spark, what we applied for the Spark grant, so if we don't get that, I think it would fund that. I think that it would fund programming for the amphitheater, like, somebody to do what we're all trying to do separately and independently and. Help us with marketing and programming and children's programs and senior citizens programs and stuff like that, and so we don't have anything that's ready for that. We, you know, we don't have, we haven't prioritized that, but it is something that, you know. I think we need somebody like, if Gail stopped doing the move, you know, the music, and the soccer team stopped doing the movies. You know, then what do you do? You know, and what else can we do in the amphitheater? So, you know, can we have, you know, some, like a big community event there? Can we have, you know, just. I mean, I think that we have to think bigger, because the money's coming, this community center grant's $2.5 million. And without a match, unless you want to give a match, then you can put some money in. But $2.5 million, we haven't seen grants like that.
Mhm.
You know, max,
We think we're gonna get $2.5 million from the city.
if we, I mean, we won't get it for sure if we don't apply. That's how I look at it.
Right.
So, that's just this first one that, you know, the Spark grant was a maximum of $1 million.
Mhm.
Now this one, is a maximum of $2.5 million. Minimum 100,000, I think it was 150, something like that, but I guess I'll, you know. With Olivia here, you know, and the ability to focus on some of these projects. I think that some planning for these projects would be good. And we have some money that, the MEDC has that we can use for planning projects. And so we're just trying to figure out what is it, you know, what things do people really want us to work on?
Where do you feel, like, one of them sticks out to me that I feel like we need to put a little effort in the boondock building. Where do you feel that falls in the realm of getting, like, is there a way to put some kind of package together that makes it more appealing for someone? Because
Yep.
I keep hearing so many people that
Well,
think about it or whatever, but then
probably like,
kind of get talked out of things. I feel
so
like.
probably like a year or so ago, I had the state ready to market it, put together a commercial marketing package, put it out there all over the state to
Yeah.
people who want to start a restaurant. And then Jimmy was going to open a Mexican restaurant, so we backed off and kind of tried to let that happen. Well, nothing has happened.
Yeah.
So I met with the MEDC folks again, and I mean, it's our thought to make boondocks the #1 priority
Yeah.
for redevelopment. Like to focus our redevelopment dollars there, like, I mean, they're gonna spend the money, they're gonna help us do it. They're gonna help promote it, they're gonna help put together a commercial package, and I mean, I don't know what it will cost us, but not much.
Because I feel like doing that would really be something that people would notice the biggest too.
I agree,
I feel like that.
but I think it
Seeing-
goes hand in hand with the housing project.
Yeah,
so
no,
it's
I
kinda
know.
like
but
the
yeah,
chicken
yeah,
and the
yeah,
egg,
Right,
you
right,
know?
right.
Because if you get enough people living downtown, they're gonna support those businesses, but we need that restaurant back,
Mhm.
you know? And so, I mean, I don't think there's anybody that would disagree with that. You know, even other restaurant owners probably, you know? But, I think that does stick out, and, you know, this is not an all-inclusive list. We just kind of tried to think of some things in here and, just get everybody's mind churning and do some brainstorming about what projects, you know, I mean, we have projects in all of our plans, our park and rec plan, our economic, all of our plans have projects, and so we have some things out there, but we kind of need a little direction on what way to go. And I don't know how you guys want to do that, but I mean, I think that the sooner we can start focusing some of these, development dollars that state has for us, you know, into maybe some plans that, you know, we can use for a grant. So, for instance, like the library building. If we had a plan ready to go, this is $2.5 million. We would buy that building next door and fix it. And turn those 2 buildings into a library.
So we did get an architect to come up and do a phase like preliminary stuff of it, but it didn't go forward because of. It was right when that COVID stuff was going up, like the.
Right,
rest of it.
I know.
So we get like a preliminary start on that, I guess. I'd like to at least start with that, I guess, if we wanna.
And I reached out, I had Olivia talk to, I think somebody on the library board and Sandra, and they didn't think they could. Get the information.
I can. I know the architect that we hired, because I was on the library board at the time.
So I'm just, you know, I mean,
So if you'd like, I could try to reach out, at least get those plans. I mean, it'd be something to start with, I guess. I mean, we paid some money for them.
right,
and
so
I'm not
that's
saying
what I'm
that-
talking about is like, so you have the architect plans, but you know,
Right.
what's the rest of that?
Right.
You know, like, those kind of things need to be packaged up and sat on a shelf, so when the funding comes down. That, you know, and if they don't give away all this money, I think they have $60 million or something to give away. It's crazy. If that money, you know, they might come back with another round. So. We need to be thinking about it.
And I'm assuming you said something to the planning committee this thing, the planning,
About,
trying to prioritize. where we
no,
can
this
start.
kind of
For
came
that.
up with this new grant that dropped.
Okay.
And, you know, I mean, I have said something before, but I'm just, you know. It's hard to do these things without a plan, because like tonight, we're gonna bring you a couple of things that we're thinking about putting a grant in for, but. You know, it's because this thing's due August 31st. We don't meet again until September something, so this grant, we have to turn it in. But I don't know if you guys want to put matching funds towards it. I don't know if that's where you want to focus, so. We need that, and I think that, maybe even after tonight, we should be working on those things to move forward. Like we talked about when we turned in the Spark grant, that we were gonna keep working on that plan. Nothing, nobody's done anything. So it's like, how do we, how we keep that moving and build some momentum.
I
So,
thought we were waiting for the second round to,
we did, but between the first and the second round, we really didn't like try to change our thing or try to update anything. And so we just have to really keep those things moving. And then if we don't get the second round of Spark Grant, which, I mean, I'm not really counting on it, because I think there were a lot of people that can get more points than us. And I think this community centers grant will cover the same thing. So that's what we're working on right now.
I guess we should see what the other council, I mean, we're gonna talk about this.
Yeah,
tonight,
so that, I mean, it's just kind of an introduction to what we're looking at there. So,
I think it's helpful to see this list of projects, and some of these I didn't even know were on the docket at all, so.
yep, and it's a good thing to talk about them, and everybody needs to know what kind of things we have on the docket and how we wanna prioritize them, so.
I like the idea of the historical murals. I mean, I know it's just an additional video, but that would be really cool to see someday.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we talk about building a farmer's market, is that something people still want? We have a, people keep talking about a dog park, is that something people want? Yeah, I mean, we just don't know exactly where we should be focusing our efforts.
I think that goes back to the one of the ones that's something about surveying. Market survey.
Oh, yeah,
All right,
so that's just sort of we need to talk about those. And there's a public spaces, community places one that's like $50,000 from the state and $50,000 from match. And they help you raise the funds, but the city, the DDA, the Lions Club, all those people can give money too. So they're saying it goes really quick. And we've never really tried it, but we kind of thought with Olivia here, maybe it'd be a great way to get her to have something to put a feather in her cap that she was able to get that done. So if we have a project that's around 100,000, we could, we could focus on that. Or it could be more than 100, but they only give us 50. We talked about maybe just doing the pickleball with it, but if we get this other grant, then, but it doesn't, if you get that and you don't use the other money, it is what it is. But, so those are the kind of things that we just want to keep on the radar.
what is the one, the 50-50 match called?
It's called Public Spaces Community Places. It's a crowdfunding program, and there's some company that you get to utilize with that, and so.
All right, so we kind of talked about a little bit about the next one, number 4, the parking lot, but I guess we're kind of looking for maybe suggesting a certain amount to the council, and then if it ends up being more than that, come back. They would have to come back to us, so we'd have to.
I mean, we have not committed our ARPA funds to anything, which we have to do by December next year.
Do we have anything like lined up that we're like, oh, we're probably gonna use it for that, or are we just like waiting for the right thing and it's very much?
We really, no one has made any decisions about what to do with it, so. I
It would
mean,
make sense to use it on a big project, and you only have to do it once. and
then we just,
then you're done with it.
We have 138,000 in that.
so I just looked it up, sorry, 135, 134, 499, but I think they gave us a little bit extra, so I think they might have given us another 3,000, but their original estimate was 134. And then we have some other capital funds that we have set aside for parking and stuff like that, nothing specific to this project, but we've already spent close to 20,000 on this project with the like the demo and that stuff.
I mean, if they're thinking it's gonna be 300,000, then only $15,000 short with the ARPA at half going in half,
Right.
which
Yeah.
that doesn't, that seems.
I mean, I think that the city should commit 150 to it, but I also am a little disappointed that I haven't been able to convince everyone that we need a grant to do
Yes,
this. So, because it's just, I mean, that 40,000 that we spent on the demo, I know I could have gotten covered with that grant, the blight grant, because they covered the demo. I know I could have got that done, but
the only thing I could say is that you can spend your time maybe on some of these other ones, and I feel like this joint thing is, I think at this point, getting it done and the
Yep.
safety of the community is more important, and we just gotta move forward, I feel like.
I agree.
It
And
is
you
hard.
know, it
It
is
is.
hard
It
because the
is.
city, you know, I mean, we could put the 135 to something else and get a grant to cover that parking lot, then that makes more sense for us, but.
Is there a grant you have in mind for the parking lot?
Yeah, this one that just came out, that $2.5 million one.
The issue is then you have to put a proposal and it would take probably several months, right? At least. that we would-
October 31st, they'll notify us if we got it or not.
And they're
So-
thinking they want to have it done by the fall. I don't know.
But
They
we-
got-
I
And we
mean,
don't
that's the
know.
issue. Right.
I mean. Would they be willing to wait if, let's say we
I
went in
posed,
for 300,000?
right,
or
I posed
however
that
much
question
they-
to them.
Yeah, we
And,
don't have to commit to them that we're gonna use our ARPA funds,
Right.
right? 'Cause we
right,
said-
but I posed that question to them. I sent an email to Jeff and, Maggie and Matt. And I've got a response today, and Matt said, well, would that mean that we couldn't do anything till like after October 31st? And I said the answer is yes, that we,
Because you can't proceed with the project while
Correct.
it's going on. You have to wait until
Oh, right.
because otherwise they figure why they need to give you the funding if you know.
you have the money.
Well, I mean, you could easily look and say, yep, we have the money, we can do it, but we also have a bunch of other projects that we'd like to
Right.
fund. So,
What would the likelihood, do you think, would be if we did apply for it, that we would get it?
big old black cat walking up here. You know, I don't know, I mean, I've never seen this grant before, I mean, it's a partnership with the city and the school, it's supposed to support a community center, which the school definitely is,
Right.
you know, they have, you know, they hold meetings for public events and, you know, they completely qualify. It's a qualifying project.
Mhm.
How they score it would depend on, you know, maybe population, I mean, other bigger cities, but I also think they're gonna spread this money out by region.
Mhm.
So, I mean, and as far as like you get points for, you know, your history with grants and stuff, well, I mean, we score well there
Mhm.
because we have a lot of it, so.
How is the grant structured and what I mean is like with the Spark grant, I feel like we had to like say like, this is the specific project that looking to do, right? Like we were wanting to do all these beautification things in the Clinton Park for it and we applied for $1 million, right?
Mhm.
Is that how this is like you either have to apply for, like, would you,
Oh, yeah, you have to have a specific project.
so would
And
you
you have to-
only be applying for 150,000 of the?
No, we would apply for the whole thing.
Apply-
For 2.5 million?
No,
No,
the
the
project,
350,000.
whatever,
So say the project's 330, 350, we would apply for that parking lot, and the school could actually be the applicant on that. And then we could still apply for something else. I mean, I send it to them as, you guys could use this, you guys could build a parking lot with this money.
And they could save money too.
I mean,
I
but
mean, that makes the most sense to me. Yeah, it doesn't fit the time range they want. But if we're getting, let's just round it up, $400,000 that the school could apply for. And then we could apply for something else. I mean, what's to say we don't bring in $1 million that we could upgrade the town with?
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know for sure, you're I mean, and that's the other thing, is I
Right.
cannot guarantee one thing about it. So that's the worst part.
Is it something we could say, we want to apply for this to try to cover the whole thing, / we want the school to apply for it? If that falls through on October 31st, we will put in, what do we say, 150,000, up
right.
to 150,000. And we can start the project as soon as we find out if we got the grant or not.
I agree with you 100%. That is exactly what I think should happen, but I think the school wants to get this done. And that's.
I don't know. I've sat through the meetings. I don't know. I think it's the right thing to do, but. So then we're asking them to apply for, I don't know, have they ever applied for a grant?
I mean, when we were at that meeting, Maggie Sales was like, well, there's grants, I'll help you with a grant, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. So. The school is actually an eligible applicant,
Right.
and so is the city. Townships are eligible. I mean, we're all, you know. If we have a community center, we're eligible applicants, so.
So you're saying, I'm just trying to. So you're saying. We can say that we'll move forward. And up to a certain amount. If they also, they at least go through with trying to apply for a grant. 'Cause they would have all
I
the
mean, I don't think I'm
information.
trying to like make it like
No,
one or the other, or that we're trying to hold anything. I mean, I
No,
just
no,
feel
but they
like
have all
that.
the information that they could do it.
Mhm. And Olivia and I would write the grant.
right,
We would just get, I mean, because some of it's gonna be duplication of what we're gonna try to do. Some of it's almost the same questions as the Spark grant. So,
like we have most of the information we need.
and we already have, all we need is the, I mean, we have a concept drawing. All we need is, a price.
I think we talk about this again when all the council people are here and get everyone's kind of view. I think we all kind of have an idea that we need to do something, I guess, but I feel like we need to hear what the other people are saying too. a little
But
bit
I
to-
also agree this project needs to be done and that maybe the timing of the grant isn't perfect, but. I don't know. And yes, that would put off construction probably to next. I mean, unless we got, because we already have the drawings. I mean, how long would it take them to put together the construction drawings?
Right. But
We
then
could
they
bid it
can
out
do
and
it in the
do it
winter, so
first
it's
thing in
gonna
the
be in the
spring.
spring.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're definitely pushing it.
Yeah,
We shut the asphalt, we shut down.
Right.
right.
So, but I'm
Right.
like, you could get it all ready to go and put it out to bid in the spring, but. I mean, now that the building's down, I think that it's a bigger urgency.
I think they thought it was gonna be done by now.
We haven't held it up at this
No.
point, I don't think.
No. All right, let's go on to the costs associated with the election changes. So these were required to do it,
Correct.
and there's some costs.
I mean, my recommendation is that, we pick the county to do it. So basically what happened is when the voters passed this proposal to. It requires us to hold 9 days of early voting. And if we have to do 9 days of early voting, either we need to do it here or at the fire hall. We would have to have people there. Or we have to have a minimum of 3 people doing that. For 9 days, including a Saturday. 2 Saturdays, I think. We start the Saturday before. And then I think there's no voting on the Sunday before. So a week before the election on Saturday,
Mhm.
the 9 days opens. It's something like that. Anyways, required a minimum of 9 days, 8 hours a day. Times 3 people. And then we would have to have another tabulator, another computer, like a whole bunch of things. Now, at the clerk's meeting, they brought up, well, what happens if the next county clerk doesn't want to do this? Well, I guess we deal with that when it comes.
Right.
But they're saying the state's gonna come down with money for some of this stuff, but right now we don't have. And in February, we have to do the 9 days. So, because it'll be the presidential primary in February, and we have to be open for the 9 days. So, and so far, the other townships, near us, I think Scioto and Woodhull both opted to have the county do it. So as long as the county agrees, that's my first option, that the county does it.
How would that work? Would they go like, should I also?
Yep, Shiawassee County should have a site where they hold open voting. Anybody that wanted to vote during that 9 days will have to go there.
Seems like that would keep the cost down for people.
Oh, it will, because whatever it costs, then it's one precinct
Right.
divided by how many ever people decide to do it. A lot of people are hesitant to have another jurisdiction do that work for them. And then I guess the AV people can go over there and put their AV in there. We're not really sure how this is all gonna work yet. So, I mean, we're all skeptical, we're all,
Learning.
yeah. They just flipped elections on their heads.
So we would be reimbursing them somehow for. some of
We
the
would
costs?
probably, yes, they would probably figure out what it costs, split the cost and charge us.
And then when we figure out how they're eligible, then they would apply to get the funds, some of the funds back possibly. It says,
Well, I'm guessing they would get the fund, they would be able. It sounded like when the money comes down from the state for elections that's been set aside, I think it's 30 million or something. They said they
30
needed
million.
100 and the state gave 30.
Right.
So it sounds like the best case scenario is if we are partnering with a county or another jurisdiction, that those people are gonna get looked at first for the money.
okay,
Because obviously it costs less if we do it that way. So, I mean, I've been to a couple of these trainings and some people are absolutely won't work with their county, absolutely not. I mean,
It seems like the best choice would be.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the best choice for the voters. I mean, the voters are now gonna have to drive to Shiawassee County. But I think it's the best choice financially. It's like, I don't know, I mean, I don't know how that helps the voter that much.
Well, it still gives the voter that many days. that
It
they
gives
can
them
do
an
it.
option,
Yeah,
But-
that many days.
right? But I think that when everybody voted on this, I think they probably thought they were gonna have it in their jurisdiction.
Yeah.
And I don't really always know what people are thinking when they vote, but I mean, it,
Mm.
you know, I'm gonna tell you right now, I voted no on this whole thing, so. It's just, I don't think that we're ready to manage it, and I think that the best place to manage it is at the county level. But do I think the voters are gonna be happy about it? They're gonna see on the news, they can do the 9-day voting, and they're gonna come in here and they're gonna be mad because we're not offering it. But I'm just gonna, that's. But I do think the best option is the county doing it, so,
At least your desk is not the window.
right?
So if we wanted to, we could make a recommendation to the city council that. Is that what we want to, I guess, consider doing?
Yes, sure.
And I think if it comes as a recommendation from planning commission, it'll make it a lot faster at council and we'll move right along. I mean, it just makes the most sense. It really does. But I will tell you, there will be voters that will be unhappy about it.
Mhm.
Did you say it needs to come from planning commission?
Action.
What, did I say planning commission? Well, I don't know, city council.
Finance
Finance
needs to
too,
recommend it.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
All right, so let's move to the poll. So now that we need to give a survey,
So you guys are making wait,
we're gonna make a recommendation to the
was
city
that
council to joint.
from you, Gail?
That's fine.
Second.
Got it. So just, and I do think this is on the agenda, so
Yeah,
when we get to plan our finance committee report, I mean, most of this is already gonna be covered because I think it helps to talk about some of these things here and get them taken care of. So.
okay, so they're not gonna pay for a title search, so if we want one, we have to. Is that what, am I reading this correctly?
You're correct. So,
How can you sell something?
I finally got a hold of somebody in Frontier and the lady's like, okay, yeah. We'll probably just give that to you. Well, then they start looking and they think they don't own it.
Oh,
Yeah. They think they don't own it at all.
and they don't know who owns it.
Correct. And so we started looking through our records and, I mean, we went back a long ways and we don't have a deed transferring it to like that little, there was the whole building 300, that big building that was there. That was owned by GTE. And I think that that little piece was an easement left for a telephone pole that was there because there was a pole there. And that somehow that got left in their name when ownership transferred. And it's an exception as an easement, but
So how?
to get a clear title or a quiet title, we're gonna need a lawyer or something. So I had Dan drop everything off to Burlingame for me to take a look at it, but. I mean, the property's not even worth $500. But I'm like, so Heidi said that we could probably do like a quiet title or we post it in the newspaper and some things go through.
Okay.
I mean, unless somebody has any other options, we could pay for a title search, figure out who, I mean,
Well, how much do you think a title search would be though?
didn't Jimmy say it was like 300 on that 219 Grand River? But this one might be more. I mean, I don't know, it's a 5-foot strip from the 1800s, for God's sake.
So our choices are to get a title search,
Mhm.
to do a,
A quiet
Quiet.
title.
which wouldn't cost much besides putting it in the paper.
Yeah, so that's what I got Burlingame working on right now to
Okay.
see what that is. So I guess, maybe, I mean, last month you guys authorized me $1,000 to
Right.
buy it.
That's what I was.
Maybe we should just keep the $1,000, but to figure out who owns it and buy, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is not even worth $1,000.
I would say to hold $1,000. Go through the lawyer first and see what he thinks, and then
Okay,
if not, maybe
I
consider
just kind of.
$300. I mean, I'd rather do the $300 and know it's ours and
Yeah.
you know, go forward if that's what needs to be done, I guess.
So I really think it's not gonna be any issue whatsoever with this parking lot, but eventually, if we ever wanted a clean title for that little piece, and then. Our assessor could put it all on one big piece, we get rid of that little parcel, clean it all up.
Because we can't get rid of the pole, right? Unless.
It's gone because they took it down when they demolished the building.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Burlingame said that basically they would post in the paper, they would then go to circuit court. Get the paperwork transferred to us.
I think that's the first.
So that's kind of what I'm working.
Yeah.
I figured that was. The best start, and I thought, well, they gave me $1,000 last month, really shouldn't be that much just to get it started, so.
So if there's something else, I think I'll run up to Gary and just see the truck real quick and go back unless anybody else has something he wants to discuss.
Are you doing yours under DPW tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell them
Okay.
that the truck is dead.
Oh, no.
We do have council in 20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
I just
Go ahead.
couple of things. I know at the DPW thing, we talked about the tree grant, we got that. So then we're ordered, they'll be in sometime this early fall, so we'll be down in. And in the meantime, we've got our 06 Chevy, that green truck that is on the chopping block, it's scheduled to be replaced this year. So we went to park it one day and it kept rolling on us and realized it didn't run apart. So we took it out, had it looked at, and the cable wore through and got water in it, rusted up, and floorboards rusting through, and all four of the cab mounts are gone, and so I wasn't.
I could have gotten you another 100,000 miles.
Yeah. Well, the cable itself to repair it was $500. And then it was gonna be a $300 to $500 temporary fix for the floor pan. I'm like, I can't get $1,000 out of that.
Right. No, that's,
So my recommendation, we stripped everything off it today, and I'm gonna recommend we just take it to a scrapyard. I wouldn't even feel confident selling it, you know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to know somebody put that back on the road and.
You guys signed the bills?
I haven't yet.
It's been our excitement.
all right.
What kind of trees did we get?
Some
Are we
maples, maples, some oaks.